How much do our genes restrict our free will? Hi, this is Kimberly Strydom and Lisa Olivier, BSc students of the University of Pretoria, discussing a couple of key points based on why genes restrict our free will. How much do our genes restrict free will? The article outlines arguments around the extent to which genetic factors limit our capacity for choice. What if our day-to-day decisions, how you handle stress, whether you prefer risk or safety, and even the people you are attracted to, were not entirely based off your own decision-making skills, but rather encoded in your DNA before you were even born? Does genetic determinism undermine the concept of free will? In this presentation, we will address the validity of this argument by further researching these main claims. If you were wondering about the credibility of the source, it is found that this source was published in 2020 by Hannah Critchlow, who is a Science Outreach Fellow at Magdalene College, University of Cambridge. The Conversation website is an academic resource that collaborates with university and research institute experts, and the article is part of the Conversation series on the science of free will. Articles on this website are publicly accessible and are written for a general audience. This concludes the source is current, credible, and relevant. To understand the following argument, we must first ask ourselves the question, what are genes? Genes are parts of the DNA passed from the parents to child. They carry instructions for how our body should grow, develop, and function, including how our brains are wired to work. We must understand the concept of how genes could possibly influence our free will. Well, this may sound contradictory, but the definition of free will states that it is the ability to make choices that are not controlled by external factors like fate or biology. But today we will challenge the definition, using studies previously conducted as evidence to why the biology of a person, aka the genes, play a key role in decision making. We will now be evaluating the claims, evidence, and data put together by the author Hannah Critchlow that supports this argument to why genes restrict free will.
The author supports her claim with the following key points. Genes can predispose individuals to various traits, characteristics, and vulnerabilities. Genes primarily influence us by instructing how brain circuitry is formed and functions. Observation of prenatal brain circuitry changes correlation with genes for conditions like autism, ADHD, etc. Predispositions may extend to complex behaviors like religious choice, political ideology, and friendship formation. A 2014 mouse study where fear of a smell learned through shock was transmitted to offspring via epigenetic changes in sperm DNA. Life experiences can cause epigenetic changes. A study finding that sons of US Civil War prisoners had an 11% higher death rate, suggesting potential lasting ancestral effects. Past learning and experiences solidify neural pathways. Holocaust survivors and their children carried epigenetic changes linked to stress response, cortisol levels. Despite these influences, the brain has plasticity, allowing new connections through learning and practice. However, established neural pathways from past learning can make it difficult to change. The common experience of learning a new skill like riding a bike, strengthening new neural connections. Do genes override free will? It appears so. Here are further case studies. Aggression and the MAOA gene. People with a low activity form of the MAOA gene, the warrior gene, are more likely to behave aggressively, especially if they had a difficult childhood. This indicates how genes and environment interact to influence behavior. Addiction and genetic risk. Addiction to drugs and alcohol is strongly influenced by genes. Some people are born with a higher risk of addiction due to how their brains respond to substances. This makes it harder for them to say no, even if they want to. In conclusion, genes clearly play a powerful role in shaping our personality, behavior, and decision making. While they don't take away our free will entirely, they do limit the range of choices we can easily make. Understanding this helps us be more compassionate towards others and ourselves, and encourages society to support people who may struggle due to their genetic makeup. If this topic interests you, feel free to go to the following sites to find out more.